Greetings, Steve Joel, Superintendent, Lincoln Public Schools from North Star, the Media Center. In just a few short moments, you'll have an opportunity to come with me into 3 of our classrooms that will be tremendous illustrations of 21st century learning. You know, it doesn't matter what school I'm in. I've been in all of our schools numerous times. When I walk into schools and I walk into classrooms, I'm absolutely captivated by the level of dedication and commitment on the part of our staff, not only the teachers in our classroom, but the folks who work to serve and support what's happening in the classroom. I'm captivated by our students who really have that thirst for learning, to not just learn the basics, but to, as you'll find from a young lady by the name of Emily, who's in her 4th year of Chinese, who want to extend their learning just to see what kind of potential might be on the horizon for them. And then, of course, for our parents who support our public schools in such a great way. We are an excellent school system that, quite frankly, has, like all school systems in the country, room for improvement, and we will continue to do that as a district. We're in the midst of a strategic planning process that is going to be looking at all components, all facets of our organization, but probably the most notable goal is going to be to increase the graduation rate by 3% in the next 5 years. That would be the on-time graduation rate, meaning from the time students begin as freshmen till the time they graduate as a senior. There's a 4-year time period there. We'll increase that rate by 3%. Some have suggested, well, that's not a very lofty goal. I mean, anybody could do 3%. That's 30 kids per class per year. In reality, it's going to be the most difficult work we've ever embarked on, primarily because the students that are supposed to graduate from Lincoln Public Schools are graduating. We have to, as a school district, continue to emphasize initiatives, emphasize instructional strategies to meet children's needs who come to us from difficult backgrounds, or for students who walk into high schools like North Star and get behind in content areas, and students that deal with some very, very tough life circumstances. So as I've said to our staff, the tough work is ahead of us, but we're going to accomplish it, as you'll hear from Dr. Schroeder in just a few minutes about the work that's happening at North Star. You know, the first year as a superintendent was just a wonderful experience to learn our culture, visit our classes, and get to really feel and experience what so many know about Lincoln Public Schools. You know, we're a dynamic, hard-charging, creative, innovative, progressive school system that really is doing the right things for kids. And with the exception of the events of Memorial Day, honestly, this last year has been very, very positive, and when I say we, I'm talking for all 7,000 plus employees. We're looking forward to this school year because we think that this is going to be an even more exciting school year. Our student achievement results continue to point the right direction. We've got a lot of success stories. You've read about them. A couple of schools really had incredible gains with respect to student achievement. And I can assure you that schools that didn't have the kinds of gains that they had anticipated are hard at work today, trying to figure out and determine ways that they can connect more closely with student achievement. So I'm very, very proud of everybody, and I know that our community is as well too. It's a community that has the highest of expectations. We're in the process right now as a school district and a school board we're looking at our options to rebuild an LPSDO. We received over 30 offerings, opportunities, suggestions from the community in terms of what we should be doing or could be looking at as options. The board's going to narrow that down in ensuing weeks, and we think by the end of October we'll be ready to announce a new LPSDO site. We anticipate construction to take about 18 months, and then we will hopefully be moving into a facility that'll be a little bit smaller than what we had, but it'll be very, very functional, and it will get people back together again who were displaced through the fire. I just want to take a second and just thank all of the members of the LPSDO team and for their commitment, their sacrifices in being in 2 buildings. You know, we originally were in 9. We're down to 2 now. We've made it work, and we've made it work in a very, very positive and good way. Just a moment on budget. You know, this is a year where, you know, we knew that coming out of the legislative session, we were going to have to make do with less, and in fact, we're doing that in an environment that will probably show between 600 and 800 student gain this year, on top of a couple of thousand in the last 2 years. and that's going to continue to be a challenge for us. We know that we have to tell our story probably a little bit more effectively with respect to our legislature, and to let folks know that as we go through some tough budgetary times, we may have to make some difficult decisions going forward. But right now, today, we feel very, very good about where we are, and we feel very, very good about where we want to go. And I just know that I speak for so many when I say that the value, as you're about to see, of an LPS degree is invaluable. Our students will be ready for career or college or travel or whatever their interests are. They're going to be equipped with the skills to be successful. And all we have to do is take time and visit with people who have graduated from Lincoln Public Schools and have gone off and done great things with their lives, and to know that the value of this educational experience is really second to none. So enjoy the visit in the classrooms, and certainly, as I close, I want to say thank you for all your great support. We would not be the kind of school system that we are if we didn't have high community expectations, but also a willingness on the part of our parents and our businesses and our community members to roll up their sleeves like they did in the aftermath of the fire and say, how can we help?
I thought this is like the highway where like it moves it through.
Are there 3 or 4 stages?
Now we're outside North Star High School in Barbara Pester's Advanced Placement Psychology class. And as I walked out here to begin this part of the show, I noticed all the graffiti on the sidewalks and thought to myself, okay, there's got to be some real learning taking place. So tell us, what exactly, I noticed that these are neurons that they're drawing. What are you working on in class?
We're actually looking at the biopsychology behind human behavior and thinking. And the basis for all thinking and behavior is the neural communication process. So yesterday they took some notes about that, and then to make sure that we're having fun while we learn, we take that from yesterday and then apply it out here, where I think the learning really does take place when we're putting it into practice.
So tying in what you're learning to some fun is, boy, that sounds like a novel idea. Yeah. Kids like that?
They love it. I tell them right up front that my goal is to have fun in my class, because if I'm not having a good time, chances are they're not having a good time. So I'm trying to put the fun back in learning.
Well, can appreciate that, and I definitely see a lot of smiles on their faces. Advanced placement is we have several across the district. Lots of opportunities for kids to enroll in courses that are more rigorous, that are college oriented. Tell us a little bit about AP. What differs between advanced placement and just say regular psychology that students can take?
Well, it's very much critical thought. Okay, it's not just rote learning. They have to take concepts and then take it a step further and apply it to real life situations. In addition, it's not just the psychology that they're going to take away from this, it's the how to think. I tell them all the time, I'm not going to tell you what to think, but I am going to teach you how to think critically about things. So I think that's an important piece.
And in terms of the advanced placement psychology test, I've heard a lot of kids complain that those are rigorous exams, but there are some rewards for taking it and doing well. What are those?
Well, first of all, they get college credit for it when they get a 3, 4, or 5. And we have an 80% success rate here at North Star since our second year we opened. We've been building the program, so we started with 1 that second year, and we're up to now 4 sections of advanced placement with an 80% success rate.
Well, it sounds like you've got kids that want to be here, and they're learning something very practical and useful, and they're getting to they're getting to mark up our sidewalks. What a neat thing. I have 3 students from North Star with me right now, and I'm just going to have them very, very quickly introduce themselves. And then here's the question: why are you in this class? I mean, there's got to be easier classes to take.
Well, when things are easy, they aren't fun. I mean, easy things, you just go to school, you leave, you get things done, you get an A. But when you have to work hard for a class, it's more enjoyable when you get the reward of having an A in the class.
I'm Matt Coffey, and I'm taking this class because I like the challenge. I was gone yesterday, so all of this is learning on the fly, and I like that challenge. I like to be able to just get thrown into the activity and learn. I like it, so that's why I'm taking it.
I'm Carly Jo Hitz, and I'm taking this class. Well, I want to be an elementary teacher, and I think taking this class AP, it will give me an extra step ahead of everyone else taking college class already, and I don't know, it's interesting learning about this stuff. It's not like every other class.
Big part of psychology is human behavior, why people think and react and do the things that they do. Curious, seniors, everybody? A junior? Okay. How many college credits will you have at the end of this class?
At the end of this.
At the end of this class, how many college credits do you think you'll have when you leave North Star?
Like AP class.
AP.
Well, do you want to go first?
Sure. Last year I took the AP World History test. I got a 3 on it, so depending on where I go to college, which will probably be Kansas State, and I'll get credit for that class. I'm taking AP US History and then AP Psychology, and so I figure I'll have a lot of college credits knocked out by the end of the time by the time I graduate from North Star. So
I took the AP World History test sophomore year, and I got a 3. And most schools don't take that as college credit, so I'm not sure yet. And then APLC, I've taken that this year and last year, and I think that's 8 credit hours each year, so I'll have 16. And then if I pass the AP Psychology test, that will be 8 more.
Not an if, she will.
It'll be 8 more, I think. So there's 24.
So by not taking the easy route through high school, you've got the opportunity to take some rigorous courses that are going to prepare you for college and help you on your way to a career, and maybe get the first semester, maybe even the second semester, depending upon how many courses you take, completed before you even leave high school. One of the other tremendous opportunities that Lincoln Public Schools offers. Thank you, Mrs. Pester, very much. Thank you, students. We appreciate it very much. Keep marking up the sidewalk, and then we'll just pray for rain one of these days to race it. AP Psychology, North Star High School.
And just keep moving it until you get that corner. Yeah, just that one corner needs to be into the corner. And if you need help with it, let me know.
We're 2 for 2 from the graffiti standpoint. As I walked into the advanced digital applications class, Mr. Matson's class, one of the things I asked students is, what were you working on? And they said, well, we're doing kind of bathroom graffiti. And that sounds like a lot of fun. Also noted that all of the students in here seem to be enjoying this particular class. This is a very, very current issue kind of a class. It's working with computers. It's doing things that I only can hear other people tell me about because I don't completely understand it. But I can tell you that these students know what they're doing, and they've got a great teacher. This is Mr. Matson, who's the teacher of this class. And tell us a little bit about what this class actually is.
This class is taking... We have some classes that offer like just basic word processing and more traditional computer applications. This one is taking software that empowers the students to create. And so they can create things in Photoshop, in Premiere, which is like video editing, and then Flash, where they make kind of animations.
And the world that they live in right now, there's plenty of opportunities to do that, but this takes it to a much more sophisticated level.
Yeah. I know some of my students in the past, I don't know if we've gotten to a project yet that's been so pride-worthy, but I've had students who've taken theirs and then published them to YouTube, to their Facebook, to wherever, so they can show the world the work that they've made.
Let's see if we can get the count. How many of you have a Facebook account? Okay, that's just virtually all students, right? How many do Twitter? Okay, anybody blog on a regular basis? Okay, how many study every night at home? Oh, good. I'm glad we got that one, too. We've got a couple of students with us. Introduce yourself real quickly, if you would. Tell us what grade in school you are, and then why did you decide to take this class?
I'm Stephanie. I'm an 11th grader. I took this class because I like doing photos and technology, stuff like that. I like design and like doing stuff with other stuff.
Do you think maybe you'll pursue this as a career?
Yeah, definitely.
Very good. Thank you.
My name's Kim. I'm in 10th grade, and I took this class because I think it's like really cool how you learn how to do the digital stuff on the computers and all that. So I like the softwares and the programs.
Is this something maybe that might be related to what you want to do when you get out of school?
Possibly, maybe.
I'm curious, Mr. Matson. We talk a lot about assessment and tests and things like that. I mean, this doesn't look like a class that you go home and study a textbook on. So how do you assess student work, and what do they need to do to practice outside of the classroom?
Practice outside of the classroom is definitely a challenge because the programs we're using are hundreds of dollars for students to buy at home. So inside of the classroom, we try to build in as many opportunities as possible for them to work with it. As far as assessment goes, yeah, you can't test it, but you can definitely make sure that they're meeting the skills, whether it be producing layers, blending modes. Right now we're doing some skewing of shapes, and the nice thing is, as far as a visual assessment, very quickly I can look and say, okay, yours looks like the floor is correct. Yours needs to be changed a little bit.
And before we leave, tell us what drew you to this field. Why did you decide to become a teacher in this field?
A teacher in this field, I didn't actually know I was becoming a teacher in this field. I have a business endorsement, and just my personal interest in technology has kind of driven me to learn more about it and keep updated with it, and that's the reason that I am able to teach the class.
Another example of a wonderful opportunity for students to take, something that's very current in their lives, and certainly the skills that they're learning here are going to be able to be applied many, many times, and they'll be able to teach people like me how to turn my cell phone on someday, or to switch applications within my cell phone. How many of you help your parents with their technology? Okay, Doug, I hope we got that one. See, there's a class. That's why they're in class like this. Well, thank you for letting us interrupt. Thank you to the students for participating in this, and keep up the great work. And school year is well underway, and this is just a great opportunity for kids to connect at a level that is outside of the mainstream, but certainly something that's very, very skill specific. So thank you, Mr. Matson. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
I'm really excited to bring this classroom to our listeners and our watchers. This is a Chinese classroom at North Star High School, and as people have heard me speak publicly before, I had the great opportunity several years ago to visit China. Came away with a life-altering experience, quite frankly, and have been so proud of our opportunities in Lincoln to give our students a chance to study a very important language, and a language and a culture that really can teach us a lot about us and other ways of life. So with me today are three teachers in the classroom. I have Coral, who is an LPS employee, and then two young ladies from the Confucius Institute, a program that we are very, very proud of in terms of being able to obtain great teaching talent to bring teachers from China to Lincoln and present material and curriculum in a way that's very genuine and very accurate. And then, of course, we have a student that's in her fourth year of Chinese that we're really excited to have on in a couple of minutes. But let me turn it over to Coral first and talk to us a little bit about what do you teach in a Chinese class at North Star?
Okay, we offer 4 levels in Chinese, and first year, second year, third year, and fourth years. And we just basically, 4 skills: reading, writing, speaking, listening. And of course, we add a little bit cultures, just bring in race and cultural awareness, how the Chinese people think, how they behave, and what do we eat, and so like culture things. Yes.
Very good. And Sarah?
Yeah, and also we teach the kids how to know about China and how to practice their language, and also about the culture thing. And so we teach them and to make things such like lanterns, and also we introduce some of the festivals, Chinese festival, to them, and to let them know and how to communicate with the Chinese people. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And this is Eileen.
Hi. So we teach some Chinese language and also Chinese culture. We want the students in America to know more about China and the Chinese people, the lifestyle of Chinese people, the way of thinking of Chinese people as well.
And there are stark differences. So let me ask this question: as teachers that are here, coming over from Chinese classroom, and I visited many Chinese classrooms when I was there. I remember seeing 75 students in a class. I saw a lot of lecture taking place. What have you had to adjust to coming over to an American high school classroom?
It does, we have a lot of differences. In China, we have a lot of kids in the classroom, and here, and we have fewer kids, but we do a lot of activities, and we try to find out and how to engage them in the activities, how to make them interested in language, as well as the culture things and how to communicate with other kids.
Yeah, I agree with Sarah that the teaching here is more personalized, more individualized, and we have more activities to do in classroom than we do in China. And the kids here are very active. Their mind is very open. They often ask some very interesting questions. We appreciate that very much.
I remember when I visited China, one of the reasons that they brought us over, we were a team of educators, about 20 of us. We went to Chongqing, and they were trying to pick our brains in terms of how do you bring more creativity into the classroom? How do you do more group activity work and utilize technology as a teaching tool? So there's a lot of sharing that goes back and forth between the countries. Coral, anything to add?
Well, I think the education in China, we try to put everybody in the same level. So we cannot say pro and con. But then the good thing is about American education, they try to individualize them and they kind of try to fit their need. And then so we will see them more individually instead of all the China. We just kind of put them in the same level.
Very good. This young lady over here had the either great fortune or misfortune of telling me that she was a fourth-year Chinese student, and she's thinking about Chinese as a course of study in college. Why 4 years of Chinese?
Well, I just thought I wanted a different language that was more challenging, and I also have been very interested, I guess, in Asian cultures and stuff, because there's been little things that have been brought into my house about that. And I just wanted to take a language that seemed really interesting and fun, and all these years have been amazing. Like, I've learned so much, and I've accomplished so much, and my entire family is very proud of me. And I just want to keep going because it's something I really want to do.
And it's something you're going to have to practice, just like anything else with any foreign language we had. But you, if I understand, Emily, correctly, you can read it, you can write it, and you can speak it, and you feel very comfortable with all three?
Yes, I do. I feel very comfortable with everything I know, and I keep learning more vocabulary, and it's awesome. I love doing it.
And you got great teachers to help you. So from the Chinese classroom at North Star High School, this has been a lot of fun. And, I'm going to close with this. I learned how to say thank you and welcome, and I could ask for directions. But the phrase I'll never forget, because I had to use it all the time, was Tin Bu Dong. What does that mean?
我不明白, I don't care.
I don't understand. So you say that in China all the time, and they think they do exactly what these young ladies did. They kind of giggle and think, boy, he's just not a very bright guy. So thank you very much. This has been a delightful experience.
Thank you.
Gives me great pleasure to introduce Mary Ryman, who's the Lincoln Public Schools Director of Library Media Services. We're filming this from the Media Center at North Star, and this doesn't look like library that I was in high school. What's going on in education?
Well, I would tell you that we say we're not your grandma's library anymore because it is different. It is active. There are options. We are involved in all kinds of activities. It's not just looking at one book and trying to find the answer anymore because, the answers, there are lots of answers and there's information everywhere, but it's really now we're focused on the question. It needs to be the best question that the students are looking for, and I think that's what's happening here and in all of our other schools too.
You know, it's really interesting. I was thinking in anticipation of this, and librarians used to scare me when I was a kid, you know, because it was all about sit down, be quiet, open up a book. And you're absolutely right. As we film here, these are kids that are engaged in dialogue. They're on computers. What are the 21st century skills that schools really want students to be able to master?
Well, there are several. A few of them are, I would say, probably most important for me are collaboration. We want students to be able to think about how they team together and work together as teams, and I think we see that a lot more than we've ever seen before. It's not finding one answer, as we said, somewhere in a book, that it used to be finding an answer in a book, and if that book was checked out, you were just out of luck and you just weren't going to know the answer to something. And now we really can find information in so many different places. They can talk about that together, so they collaborate. And then another one is communication, where we really want students to be able to learn how to talk to each other. Going into the work environment, and obviously another one is career education, and going into that work environment, think of the way they will be looking at things. And I think you'll see that today when you look at cross-cultural learning and the ways that we talk to people from around the world, and we'll need to when we're in the workforce, all of that, as well as another huge one is computer literacy. So that's a basis for what we do in libraries today, because so much of the information is out there through a computer is how we learn that. It's really digital literacy. There are many kinds of literacy, but digital literacy is a huge one today. We have to know how to ask the best question, and that's really our role in libraries, is how do we ask the best questions so that you find the answer. We don't want to create a good enough society. I don't want our students to think that any answer is good enough. I want them to help them learn how to find the best answer.
You know, it's listening to Mary speak, it's really pretty clear that the three examples that we showed in terms of classrooms did exactly that. We saw digital literacy, we saw collaboration, we saw communication, you know, we saw creative arts, we saw all of those things. So the notion of a library being a standalone center really is, that's out of style, and it's really about integration and work and embedding and infusing and all being interconnected for learning for kids.
Mm-hmm. And it's about giving them options, and being active. And that's what we love the most.
Yes, well, thank you so much for that. Appreciate it very much. Mary Ryman, the Director of Library Media Services for Lincoln Public Schools. I'm really pleased to introduce to you the principal of North Star High School, a gentleman, Dr. Fred Scretta, who came to us from Kansas City. He has Lincoln roots. He represents just an exciting leader in our community and in our school, and is off to a fantastic start, as we've seen today. Fred, tell us, how are things going, first of all, with the adjustment?
I think they're going really well. North Star is a great place to have come to, and a great set of kids, great faculty and staff here. So we've got some good work in front of us, but we've rolled our sleeves up and we're having at it.
You know, like all of our high schools, I'm sure there really isn't anything that kids can't take that they want to take. I mean, we have advanced placement, we have the full array of, I was joking with you a little bit about, you know, we saw a lot of fun stuff, but there's certainly some math and science and language arts, of course, being taught here. And then the full array of those things that give kids an opportunity to grow and develop as whole persons. So what are you working on here? What are the biggest focus areas for North Star?
Well, really, you saw a variety and sort of a taste of some of the things, but I hope that you also saw that in those mostly elective courses, you're seeing kids learn fundamental skills. We certainly do have plenty of math, science, and social studies and language arts, but I think we are focused on kids' performance, and number one, helping them graduate. Number two, performing well on our tests and assessments that we have, but providing them a variety of opportunities that will connect them with the rest of the world.
There are a lot of global cultures represented in North Star, and you know what a great place for kids to come and really learn about the world. What have been some of your observations about the student body?
A very diverse student body. We have some challenges in terms of socioeconomics. We're over 50% free and reduced eligible students, and that brings a different dynamic. But what I see, and you see it probably best in the lunchroom, honestly, and in the hallways sometimes, that kids from all backgrounds, and they're getting along together, they're working together, and they're enjoying each other here at school.
You've been a principal for a number of years, had a great success. That's why you're here in Lincoln. And as you've experienced that that evolution, so to speak, there have been some changes. What do you think, looking out, say 10 years from now? Where do you see high school education going?
Well, that's a big question, but it's an appropriate question because I think that's what we have to have in mind: is where do we need to go for the sake of our students. And one of the things that I see that you saw in a couple of the classrooms is that no longer is just this physical space of our building the classroom per se. That technology is a huge tool for us, and it itself is a content that kids need to learn, that it helps them connect with students at East High School, at not just here in Lincoln, but students and people from around the world. And that the skills that kids need to learn today include skills that give them a worldview, including collaboration and use of technology and digital literacy, which was mentioned.
You've gotten off to such a great start. Kids know who you are. They've connected with you. In fact, anybody that's interested in learning more about you can actually go to YouTube, is that right, and find a little rap that you did?
And that's getting old by now, but I think but honestly, that's, if you want to use that as an example of something that I think has to do with how kids learn, the whole idea behind that was brought to me by students, and that I think that if we empower students to drive their own learning, which I hope you also saw that today here at North Star, that's one of the keys, and that engagement, the idea of student engagement, is a huge concept for high schools now. No longer can we just expect to sit our students down in straight rows facing the front, and that they need to work together, that they need to have meaningful and engaging learning activities provided for them.
Significant goal for Lincoln Public Schools is to raise the on-time graduation rate 3% in the next 5 years. What do you say to that?
Well, honestly, I'd say maybe 3% isn't enough. We know there's all kinds of data out there that tell us the earning potential of students who have graduated versus not, and then the impact of continued education. But we've got to do everything we can to help students. I think and that goes with the idea of engagement, that they might not be earning a paycheck right now, but their high school education is what catapults them onto the rest of their lives, and then that's kind of the last thing that I would mention is lifelong learning. That we know now that you can't afford to settle on, this is what I've learned and now I'm ready for life. As you go through life, that you have to continue learning, and that you continue being a learner and finding ways to learn.
My guess is that there's going to be a lot of good news emerging from North Star in the ensuing years. And Dr. Fred Schroeder, really glad that you're here at Lincoln Public Schools. Welcome home and welcome to North Star.
Thank you.
With us now is a gentleman that I have an opportunity to work with on a fairly regular basis, the Lincoln Public Schools Director of Secondary Education, John Neal. John, welcome, and let's start by just a brief description. What are your primary responsibilities with LPS?
Primary responsibility to work with the high school and middle school principals on their efforts at their school to raise student achievement, work with their staff.
John, we've seen a lot of really neat stuff today in classrooms and visiting with Mary and of course, Fred in terms of what they're trying to do. How do we know that we're on the right track with high school education?
Probably the things that we look at most importantly are the achievement of our students. We see that in graduation rate. We see that in test scores. We see that in achievement of our SMART goals in the professional learning communities that happen at our school. So we try to look very carefully at our student achievement data to help us be a measure every day, every month, and each year, depending on what data we're looking at.
We've set some pretty bold goals, 3% graduation rate in the next 5 years. And, Fred's kind of like me. I mean, we're not going to stop there. We're going to go beyond that. But how do we make sure that our people, our teachers, and our principals have the skills necessary for our children to become, to maximize their success?
Well, we've just completed a 5-year process to create a new appraisal process in the Lincoln Public Schools. It's been a joint collaboration between Lincoln Public Schools and Lincoln Education Association, and it's created a real growth model process to help teachers strengthen their instructional skills in the classroom. It creates a shared vocabulary of what is effective teaching, and it provides an opportunity for teachers and administrators to work together on a daily, monthly, regular basis to improve instruction in the classroom. So that's one way. The other, or another, is through our professional learning communities. Every month at the elementary and middle school, and every week in the high school level, teachers get together, share their best strategies based on the effect that strategy has had on student learning, and then incorporate those strategies across the departments, across the building, to improve student achievement. So it's by keeping track of those strategies and using them over and over, the ones that are most effective.
You know, from time to time, some people who look at our calendar and say, you know, professional learning communities means less time for kids in class. You just underscored it. Without a PLC and teachers collaborating with teachers on effective strategies, we wouldn't have the kind of results that we have.
And I'll just use one example because it was most recently in the news. Belmont Elementary School, their 4th grade team was just recognized nationally because of the achievement improvement of their students, and they bring it all back to their work in professional learning communities to bring all of those students to proficiency and most exceeding level of achievement.
You know, I want to talk about student engagement for just a second too, but, you know, in visiting these 3 classrooms today, and of course I've been in and you've been in virtually all of the schools in Lincoln, one of the things that is abundantly clear to somebody who hasn't been in a school for a long time is it's changed. You know, no longer do we see chairs and rows and the teacher lecturing. We see a lot of collaboration and engagement. Talk a little bit about the 21st century classroom today.
21st century classroom really tries to develop a sense of relevancy between the student and the content in which they're working. What we saw in the classrooms today were students really engaged in their learning, taking the content of the classroom and finding a way to own it, whether it's drawing on the sidewalk and figuring out how a cell works, because their next unit is beginning to work on behavior. And the students, when talking to them, described if we don't know how the cells work, if we don't know how the brain works, we can't do the next step. So through creativity and innovation, those students are getting a deeper understanding of their topic to help them down the road in this class, but also an understanding about themselves and learning. The deeper I understand, the longer it'll last and the greater difference it'll make for me.
And that's the difference today in a high school classroom in North Star, any one of the other Lincoln high schools, is that it isn't about lecture and regurgitation. It's really about deep learning that is permanent, that is applicable to life, and students leave our schools armed for whatever it is that their next challenge is, whether it be college or career or military. We saw evidence of that today, and certainly we see it in all of our high schools as well. So to John Neal and to Mary Ryman and to Dr. Fred Scretta, thank you very much for participating in this. And this is an example of 21st century learning, and North Star is a bright example of that, and we continue to feel very, very blessed with what we have to be able to offer to our children in any one of our high schools in Lincoln High. So signing off from North Star High School, Steve Joel, Superintendent, thank you very much for your time and attention.
Esta ha sido una presentación de Lincoln Public Schools. Una guía de programación mensual puede ser encontrada en www.lps.org.